In 2011, there were 3 primary changes to the family code in family law. And I was part of the legislative committee with regard to the family law section. We wrote the bills, we went to the legislature and testified, so we were all instrumental in helping get those bills passed. The first bill is the spousal maintenance bill, which is the one I spent a significant amount of time on last year. There's an adage that we do not have alimony in Texas. Well, we do. It is by contract or by statute. The statute was just never well recognized because it was very difficult to receive alimony under that statute. It's Chapter 8 in the Texas Family Code. We completely rewrote that chapter so that alimony is now available for up to $5,000 or 20% of gross earnings, whichever's less. So we do have that number now in the statute. And we also have a duration that goes by the length of marriage, 10 years, 10 to 20 years, or over 20 years. And so that helps as well. In addition, we still have the provisions about being a disabled party or being the parent of a disabled child that allows you not to be able to work outside the home or to meet your minimum reasonable need. The second change this year in the 2011 legislature to the Family Code had to deal with mistaken paternity. And some people want to refer to this as paternity fraud, but also it can be mistaken, so it doesn't always mean that it's fraud. And this is where a father who learns later, after any period of time, that he is not the father, will have a 1-year statute of limitations from the time that he does learn that in order to bring a lawsuit. If in fact he is found not to be the father by genetic testing, then if he was ordered to pay child support, the child support terminates immediately. If in fact he has a relationship with the child, that if he doesn't see the child will cause harm to the child emotionally, then the court can award possession and access with that father, or with that father that is now not the father. In addition, another father can be brought in to be tested as being the biological father. So this whole adage of paternity fraud or mistaken paternity is now dealt with in the Family Code, so that one can now opt out of being the father should they choose if they're not the father. The third change in the legislature of the 2011 legislative session has to do with regard to fraud in a divorce case. A court could always deal with fraud in a divorce case, but what this statute does is it gives a court guidelines as to what to do if fraud has occurred. So if you can prove that there has been fraud, which will be economic fraud, then we have termed what's called the reconstituted estate. And so what the court has the ability to do now is to go back and calculate what would the estate have been but for the fraud. They add that number in, and then that is the number that the court can divide. And instead of just giving a judgment for what the fraud is, the court has the ability to actually give more of the property to the party who was wronged to make up for that dollar amount of the fraud, or do a combination of a judgment and awarding an additional dollar amount.